So Maine Township is a high school district comprised of 3 Maine schools, Maine East, Maine South, and Maine West. Maine East was the original high school. This building was opened during the Great Depression. It, to this day, has the original clay tile roof on the portion of the building that is original. In the 50s and 60s, we opened South, we opened West, and it was all enrollment driven. With this project, we wanted to look at, okay, how do we go about improving our facilities? Because they hadn't really been significantly touched in over 50 years. So we started to put together a planning committee. We pledged $55 million of our own money, making this about a $250 million project. So it was shortly thereafter that we started to engage construction managers. And in early 2019, our relationship with Pepper began.
Managing a client that had multiple buildings, multiple projects going on at a time. It's a different animal than just, one big school. We spent a majority of that year leading up to it really taking a school and saying, these are the chunks of the project that we know we want to do and make it, as cost effective as possible, because ultimately that's what it comes down to for the client and the district and the taxpayers.
The original scope behind the referendum project all across the district was to include pretty much an entire revamp of the MEP system, including all your mechanical systems, fire alarm, plumbing, electric, all throughout the board across all 3 schools. And then that also kind of streamlined into a big just overall classroom refresh, varying from just, painting ceilings throughout classrooms and then all the way through knocking down walls and completely kind of reorienting how the spaces were configured.
The majority of what Pepper does best is we are given a very short-term duration to do a monumental amount of work. And then remember, the whole time, you are keeping a school functioning. You have to keep the administrators happy, the kids safe, and heat on and cooling on.
We're finishing up this last phase, year 4 of the project, with auditorium renovations and a pool renovation at Maine East that were not part of the original project. We were able to extend the job into these areas of the building due to cost savings from the first 3 phases.
So it was more than we told the community we were going to do. And Pepper came with suggestions whenever the challenge arose, whether they be a small challenge that we needed to replicate 100 times in the classrooms, or whether it was a significant challenge. Pepper was always part of providing those solutions that we needed.
Classrooms are not what they were 20 years ago, where it's one teacher standing up in front of 30 kids just talking, right? The ability for them to work with their peers and break off and do something different with their peers in this part of the room, that's where I see the biggest impact on the students using spaces. They're using spaces that will fit to their way of learning.
You don't want to tear tradition down, and you want to try to uphold some of those sacred walls that were in the corridors that were walked by many, for many.
Parents, community, we have alumni come back and are just amazed at the spaces. We have generations that have lived in this community. They're so happy and proud that their kids are now going to go to a school where the physical space matches the type of instruction that we deliver.